Hello, 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 hello. Sound check, sound check, sound check. What's going on? What's happening? This is your Golden Dark Dame live streaming. Oh boy, I had a number of difficulties signing on here to do this video. Originally, I was going to go ahead and do it late last night, but then I had the thought, okay, I can get this together better. So let me not rush it. Let me just, plan it out a little bit in advance and just do it Friday evening instead. So here I am, and yeah, it took a couple of things for me to go through to get to this point to get on here live. So we're live again. It's your Golden Dark Dame live streaming, and this is the first episode for this new year. Happy 2020. We're here. I'm glad you could come on and join me. And also, it just so happens, and this was not planned, but it just so happens. Also, today is the 1 year anniversary of me starting this channel and starting my podcast with, the recurring topics, some of the recurring topics. So it's my 1 year anniversary. And I didn't realize that until just a few hours ago. I was like, isn't that something? So 1 year anniversary of this channel, being on YouTube here, and again, sharing my voice. So thanks. So far, so good. And I did end up taking a hiatus partway through 2021 after I had started embarking on this. Um, that was somewhat unintended. And then I got to a point where I decided, okay, I'm going to come back on soon. I did want to put in some more episodes prior to 2021 coming to an end, but that did not occur. So, again, it just so happens that I'm coming back, returning on my 1 year anniversary of this channel. So, this is a good feeling. It's really good, to get back into the groove of this and to get back to sharing my opinion about my favorite show. So, just to bring you up to speed, for anyone who is not aware, I am the self proclaimed #1 DC Power fan. I am the only female voice of Power. I haven't seen of any other woman that talks about the Power series like I do. So I am claiming that title. Those are my titles. So tonight, on this episode, the first episode of this week for 2022, I am talking about Power Book 2 Ghost. And this is the third installment in the Power Universe series. I'm going to be talking about Ghost, Book 2 Ghost. It's coming back from the mid-season finale, which was 2 weeks ago. So the upcoming episode for that is going to be, look, I'm supposed to know, I think it's going to be episode 6. And so that's going to air on Sunday. I usually watch it in advance. I watch it directly through the Stars Network. So it is likely that I will be watching that prior to it airing on Sunday evening. But either way, I'm gonna scale back a little bit to the last 2 episodes of Book 2 Ghost, just to, like I said, connect those dots since they had their 2 week break from the mid-season finale. And then definitely what I'm gonna jump into immediately right here, right now, is talking about Ready to Love season 5, Washington, D.C. Tonight is the season finale. of this season. So I want to scale back and talk about also the last one or two, the previous one or two episodes of Ready to Love, because those were, definitely head turning episodes. Definitely the one that aired last week with among two of the participants on the show, to the point that people are still creating dialogue, having dialogue about a situation that occurred among one of the potential couples on the show. So, want to talk about that, dissect that a little bit, and again, just bring things up to speed before the finale airs this evening on the OWN network. So, let me see what's going on. I got some comments coming in. So yeah, as I'm talking, as you're listening to me share my thoughts and opinions, please feel free to comment, and definitely make sure you subscribe to this channel so that when I have future episodes, which likely will be live, you can set a reminder to prepare yourself to be able to listen and tune in and contribute in advance. So yeah, about once a week. And also, I do anticipate incorporating, a thing or two that was not a factor on my channel when I started things last year. So, I might have some other opinions that are highlighted right along with mine here, talking about, some of the content that programs that I watch, and also popular culture, entertainment news, and things like that. So, your girl Golden Dark Dame, and I'm in Washington, D.C. So, Ready to Love this season is here in Washington, D.C. Now, something personally funny about the show, with it, the location being here, is I said this on one of my last couple of episodes. I remember making a comment sometime last year. I said, let Ready to Love decide to come to Washington, D.C. I'll have a trick for them. I remember saying that, right? And here it is. Here they are. So it was a shock to me when I noticed that they were casting here. And so, but as far as me having made that statement goes, in actuality, I'm not a participant. I was not a cast member this season. Just to make that clear. But it's kind of a good thing. It's a good thing because this season, I'll say between this being the 5th season of that show and season number, I want to say season number 3, those are among the worst seasons, in my opinion, of Ready to Love. That this show is the process, the way that the process is arranged, the format of it is pretty much like speed dating times 5 that's taped. So, it's an accelerated dating contest. They want to make it among the final 3 or 4 couples at the conclusion of the show. Like, that's the goal. And it's Ready to Love, but it's for entertainment purposes ultimately. So a lot of people get hung up, a lot of viewers get caught up on the process, and a lot of activities of some of the participants throughout each season. This is something that always occurs with every season, and I think a lot of people misconstrue again the fact that it's for entertainment purposes. It's reality TV. It's not real life. It's not just unscripted. So that's something that has to be recognized when people decide to, tune into the show every week to see, who's going to progress as a couple, who might get together as a couple, things like that. Because they're supposed to, seek out potentially being able to establish a relationship among more than one person. That's why there are multiple participants. So all that being said, again, that's just a synopsis for anyone who doesn't know, or for people who might start tuning in partway through the season and don't have a full understanding or realization of how that process actually goes and how it's supposed to go. That's how it goes. So, but to catch up, the episode of Ready to Love from last week, and I don't memorize the titles of each episode, but that was episode 11, and so it was supposed to be a standard elimination episode as far as one person going home. It would have been a male being eliminated, right? But that did not happen. And the reason why that did not occur is because there was an unexpected situation that occurred among one of the potential couples. So this would be Phil and Shiloh. So they seem to have garnered a strong connection about partway through this season. And actually Phil, he became a person of interest among the majority of the women participants who are still part of the cast. But things got to a point on last week's episode, things came to a head between Phil and Shiloh because there was an unwanted physical interaction. And so this is something that people are, again, still discussing, even though it came on the TV last Friday. People are still discussing this scenario and whether or not Phil was justified in placing his hands and moving on to Shiloh, even though she expressed not wanting to be touched. He did that anyway. So that's the big topic right now as it stands with Ready to Love. And so just connecting that to the fact that the finale episode is coming on in a few hours, if that wasn't the highlight right now, the main thing that would be discussed would be predictions and who people think are going to be among the final couples, at the end of this. Now, Ready to Love also is going to have, a reunion. So we'll be able to see just a little bit, obviously, connected to this finale shortly thereafter, who remains as a couple. Because sometimes you have it where you see who the final couples end up being, but come the reunion, they may not actually still be involved with each other. And oftentimes, as far as the history of Ready to Love reunions go, there have been some couples who made it to the end, and then upon being on the finale of the reunion, rather, they give off the appearance that they are still involved with each other, but in actuality they're not, and they're just putting on the facade just for the sake of the reunion. So these are things to watch out for when it comes to this series of Ready to Love. But definitely, again, this season 5 has been a mess. It's been a mess. It's been underwhelming. It's been pretty embarrassing. And that's just to say the least, as far as the representation within this, nation's capital, this city of Washington, D.C. So, some people enjoy it. Some people are enthralled by it. Others, again, really let down by it. So that's the status with Ready to Love Season 5, Washington, D.C., as it currently stands. And so I just want to go ahead and I'll just fast forward to, talking about potential couples, predicting potential couples as of tonight in the episode that's going to air tonight. Who do you think is going to be a couple? So there are about I think there's an odd number of participants. I think there's 7 people still on since they did not actually do an elimination on last week's episode. And so with that being said, let me try to run down the list of who's still on there. The female participants that are still on are Aisha. Who else is left? Aisha. Oh my God, I'm drawing blanks. Aisha's still left. I'll just go regardless of gender. I won't even try to put it in order of gender. Aisha, Phil, Frank. Who else on the women's side? Sydney. Oh my God, I'm drawing blanks. This is crazy. I can picture the people. It's just that their names aren't coming to me. But yeah, there's about 7 participants left. So therefore, obviously, there's a toss-up, and it's a broad toss-up among, potential couples that could form, as far as being specific on who's going to possibly choose who. Because I can speak in particular about Sydney. She could choose between 2 people. Frank is another participant who could also choose between 2 people. Okay, now I remember another name. So we also still have Walter. He does have the potential of choosing between 2 people, but it's not a strong potential. But anything's possible. So that is again something that could occur. And then who else? Who else? Yeah, so there's a toss up among who can get chosen. Who could end up as couples tonight. So, but yeah, a lot of people are still stuck on Phil and Shiloh and asking the question, who was wrong in the situation? Because there's been a lot of expression of people having the perception that Shiloh overreacted to having been physically touched by Phil. Again, Phil picked her up. She said that. He said that. That's clear. There's no question that that's what happened. And, and then the other side of the question, who was wrong, is, is Phil being, was he wrong as far as, ignoring the consequence of him doing that to Shiloh because she expressed not wanting him to touch her? And, or was he, doing literally a due diligence as a man as far as taking on a protective role? So those are the questions, those are the factors that come along with this question, who was wrong, and, was Phil justified in what he did, even though he went against what Shiloh verbally stated. And so, yeah. But what's kind of unfortunate about this still being a topic of conversation is that this has been, I want to say, one of 2 highlights of the show this whole season. Like, this is the thing that has drawn the most excitement this whole season. And that's, again, like, shameful. That's shameful. Like, that's the best that could be highlighted out of all the footage for season 5, to gain the most attention of viewers. Like, something negative. That's sad. But that is the situation. That is one of the things that occurred on the show. And again, that's that is something that is likely to affect the outcome as far as who might get chosen. Because Sydney, like I already mentioned, she can strongly choose between either Phil or Frank. Frank can strongly choose between either Sydney or Moomin. That's another person who's still there, Moomin. You have Walter. Now remember another participant who's still present, Sabrina. Between the two of them, they are each other's only potential connection, but they are not strong. They're not a strong connection for each other. And so, that's one of the things that has made watching this particular season iffy, because, when we pay attention to, certain dates and certain conversations, there were things, there was information that was shared that made it evident as to whether or not certain people who were on dates together could potentially become a couple. And so Sabrina and Walter, they don't match up as far as what both of them have expressed desiring as far as pursuing a relationship goes. Yet again, they are each other's only potential connection as far as being able to couple up on this finale episode for tonight. So I'll go ahead with that and I'll make them my number one prediction as far as becoming a couple, because like I said, they're still here. Yeah, they don't have anybody else to consider choosing from. So I think that they're going to go ahead and link up as a couple. But in real life, no, they won't do it for each other. Not based on what they said. It's too unlikely. It's way unlikely. And so another prediction I'll make is, I think that, and this is going to be, this will be entertaining to see the outcome. I think that Moomin, and really it's going to come down to, it's a toss-up, because we can take out the elimination aspect now, because it's the last episode. There's nobody else to be eliminated as far as if they're not, somebody is not reciprocally agreeing upon being chosen by somebody else. So as a means of trying to put that in simpler terms, I think that Frank is going to choose Moomin, but there is a potential that Moomin might not choose him back, so to speak. So hopefully that clarifies what I previously said. So with that, I'm predicting that I think that Frank is going to choose Moomin. I'm not sure. No. Let me take that back. Let me restructure that prediction. I think that Moomin wants Frank. So if it comes down to, her being in a position to choose, I think that Moomin is going to choose Frank. And in the case between Frank and Sydney, I think that Frank, and again, it's a toss-up between Frank choosing either Sydney or Moomin. But when I think about just Frank and Sydney, it's cloudy to me. Now, going over to Sydney, if she's in a position to choose, I think that Sydney might choose Phil. And I think that might happen because I think that, due to the scenario that occurred between Phil and Shiloh. I think that Sydney might garner a little bit of sympathy towards Phil, and that might be, I think that might play a factor. And again, I think that's going to cause her to choose Phil and not Frank. But Frank just might want to choose Sydney. I'm not sure. I can't really gauge that yet. Now, aside from people ultimately coupling up tonight, what's also going to happen prior to that is the guys are going to be introducing, among their top options to either their friends and or family. I think they're going to be introducing some women to their families. Yeah. So that's going to happen before people decide who they want to be in a couple with to round out the end of this show. So let me see. I know I'm leaving at least one other person out. Oh, Dante. Yeah, he's still on here. Now there was some interest previously between Phil and Aisha, right? And even just 2 episodes ago, when everyone was at the retreat, and this was only the second time that we saw interaction between Phil and Aisha. And it appeared to be very brief because Dante swooped in and got Aisha's attention. And it seems ever since then that they are a strong connection. So with that being the case, and that being evident as far as, again, what has actually aired on the episodes, because, there's always behind the scenes interaction, not everything gets caught on camera. And that's part of what makes Ready to Love being a reality TV series kind of flawed. Because people do, go on dates and get together. The participants have done that without the cameras being present. This is a reality TV series that does not have cameras around for everything, unlike a number of other reality TV series. But so going back to the focus being on Aisha and Dante, I think that they are going to choose each other because as for Aisha, I think Phil has already been weeded out as far as a possible strong connection, right? Whatever interest they had, I think it waned a while back. It waned away a while back. So I think that Aisha has a strong interest in Dante, and I think that Dante's interest in Aisha is just as high. And neither one of them had any other potential nor strong connections to juggle. So, yeah, just like Walter and Sabrina, Dante and Aisha are in the same category. But their connection seems to be more relevant, definitely more relevant and actually of substance compared to if Sabrina and Walter couple up and choose each other. Sabrina and Walter choose each other, that's going to be an automatic by default couple because of the fact that they're both still there. But also, one more thing. Also, there's still the likelihood that, someone or more might choose to self-eliminate. So, personally, I don't think that's going to occur. Because if it does, it's going to take away from, it's going to mess up rather, the guessing, the prediction here. It's going to mess up from that because the numbers are going to be, cut down. It's going to be, if somebody self-eliminates, it's going to be one less person to try to decide, are they going to get chosen? Are they going to choose, such and such person? So I don't foretell anyone else self-eliminating. I don't think that will happen. It is possible. Anything's possible, but do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't. So I think that's everything that I wanted to say about Ready to Love Season 5 DC in its current standing. We will see what happens tonight. And just to piggyback or double back rather to last week's episode, Shiloh, because of that situation between her and Phil, because it made her and left her so uncomfortable. And, they talked about it. They attempted to they had a couple of dialogues about it, but ultimately a resolution was not able to be made nor met. And Shiloh decided to self-eliminate. And because she did that, there was not a standard elimination, not an additional standard elimination that was made. So that brings about the current standing of the contestants on the dating contest reality TV show series Ready to Love. Now, every city that Ready to Love has been featured in has had 2 seasons. So season 1, I'm sorry. So episode 1 was in Atlanta. Therefore, the first 2 seasons were in Atlanta. The next 2 seasons were in Houston, Texas. And so now we're on season 5 in Washington, DC. So it is expected that season 6 will also take place here in Washington, DC. And one last thing about Ready to Love. One last thing about it is, if you haven't noticed already, like I have, season 7, if season 6 is not going to be in DC, season 7 is going to take place in Miami, Florida. How do I know? Well, because I saw a casting ad. So that's how I know that upcoming season of Ready to Love will be taking place in Miami, Florida. Again, I expect, and it's standard, that season 6 is going to be also in Washington, D.C., because that will make season 2 in this location. And then following that, season 7, Miami, Florida. So when I saw that information, I think my reaction was, oh, wow. I kind of feel like I don't know. I feel like that city or that location is, I don't know, maybe I think it's a little ambitious for this particular show. That's just how it made me feel to see that they're casting in Miami. So, yeah. But aside from that, and prior to that, what will be more interesting is to see how season 6 in DC pans out. Because this current season has been so lax and so terrible. It's going to be, it's highly anticipated to see how a second season in DC is going to look, because this one has been bad enough. I don't think it can get any worse than this, but that's just my little old opinion. that I'm on here for the purpose of sharing. So we will see how it goes. Again, the finale is coming on tonight. Finale of season 5. Ready to Love, Washington, D.C. So check it out. If you haven't watched any episodes, no, let me take that back. If you've only watched the last 2 episodes of Ready to Love and did not watch the entire season, listen, please hold your thoughts. Keep your thoughts to yourself. It's not right. It's not fair. It's not balanced to chime in on content that is reality TV based if you have not followed it from the start. Okay? Like, we need to focus more on making things make sense when it comes to that. Because if you can't do that, if you can't watch something in full, completely, in its full creation, and then you want to comment on it on social media, what you're really doing is deviating from deserved attention. And also, you're guessing. And you're putting people in a position to likely explain things to you that you have the capability of seeing for yourself. But because you didn't watch from the start, but for some reason are compelled to form an opinion about something you only, gain partial knowledge about, it's really just a waste. It's a waste of resources in various ways. So please don't do that. If you watch tonight's episode and it's the only episode of this show that you ever watch, please don't say anything on social media. Just save it. Just save it. Save it. Note it for the future. Make sure you watch the reunion special. And maybe at that point, you'll be able to chime in and comment. But otherwise, if you're watching for the first time tonight, hold your comments to yourself. Matter of fact, hopefully you focus on not trying to form any comments. Because if you do, you would be doing so unsensibly. Okay? That's just a tidbit of, reasonable advice to follow. Again, we got to make things make sense. It's 2022, Let's keep things simple and clear. Simple and clear. Now. I want to talk now about installment 3, extending from I think it's my favorite TV series, Power. So, again, installment number 3, Power Book 2, Ghost, where the main character is none other than Tariq St. Patrick, the son of the late character James St. Patrick, aka Ghost. So in real life, it's funny because in real life, the character Tariq, and his real name is Michael Rainey Jr. In real life, Michael Rainey Jr. was scheduled to be in DC this past Sunday. If I recall correctly, it was advertised that he was going to be at a venue called Rose Bar. So I have no idea if he was actually there. I myself didn't make it out there, but I was aware that he was scheduled to be here in DC just a few days ago. So I wonder if he made it. That was the first weekend of this year. So Michael Rainey / Tariq, The character that most people hate instead of loving was here in DC, supposedly, this past Sunday. But as far as the situation currently on the show goes, Tariq, hooey, this is another thing. Like, if you haven't been watching it, what are you waiting for? Because they had the mid-season finale. Again, mid-season finale just 2 weeks ago, right? So you've had ample time to be able to binge watch starting from episode 1. And this is season 2 of Ghost. Okay, it's in the second season. So, yeah, everybody who watches this should definitely be up to speed on it by this point. And so the break is ending now, and the show's going to be coming on again in 2 more days. It's coming Sunday, back to regular schedule. We had a mid-season finale, the break is over, back on schedule. And so the previous 2 episodes of Ghost, for me, were like, yes. I was watching both of those episodes, and I could feel the depth in the story. I could feel it. It's like, oh yeah, this is getting good, as far as this season goes. Yeah, this is getting good. It's getting deep. It's getting a little heavier. So that's my perspective right now. And just to backtrack slightly on what occurred within the previous 2 episodes of Ghost, it's definitely still, and I think this will always be the case between the characters of Tariq and Kane. There's always going to be a rivalry between those 2 characters. Although their characters are so similar in nature, their characters are parallel to each other. Because, and if you don't understand or agree with me saying that, think about it like this. Tariq had, he developed all this angst, and this, I'm speaking from when Power was still airing, the first installment. So when Power was, still on, when that part of the story was still being told, Tariq developed all this angst toward his dad, Ghost, right? To the point where ultimately he killed his dad. Yet wants to be like his dad as far as the manner in which his dad Ghost made moves in the drug game, and was, efficient and, stealthy and on point and a boss. These were the reasons why Tariq's angst built up against his dad, yet also the same motivations, again, that he embraced for himself. One of the last major lines, notable lines that Tariq said to his dad Ghost was something along the lines of, I want to become the biggest drug dealer in New York. Yet you fought your dad for moving in the same vein, and you end up killing him. So, obviously, that's crazy, but that's what occurred already. That's what occurred on Power by way of Tariq. So now that we're watching Ghost, the show Ghost, book 2, we got Tariq making those drug moves, okay, thinking that he knows more than he actually does. He's definitely still in his learning curve, still on his learning curve, but he's big-headed about it, right? But then we have Kane, who's part of his entire family is in the drug game, knowingly. There's no secret among any of them, right? And so Kane has this disdain toward Tariq. And, really, it's nothing other than jealousy. Kane is jealous of Tariq. Period. Point blank. But the similarity, one of the major similarities between Cain and Tariq is that Cain has a lot of angst and disdain towards his mother, Monet. Monet is the drug boss as far as their family goes. And Cain, for whatever reason, is so pressed to, be knighted, so to speak, with, some power and some notoriety, even though so much like Tariq, Cain makes a lot of reckless and ignorant moves when it comes to, how he operates in regards to, the drug game. So, in case that wasn't clear or apparent before, hopefully it is now. Hopefully you see what I'm saying when it comes to Cain and Tariq and the parallels of their characters, yet almost, they're so identical. They are so identical. I want to say the only difference is that Cain has gotten chances to redeem himself, and that's by way of decisions that he's made, but also by way of, kind of some degree of mercy being, placed towards him. But again, him and Tariq, they're both ignorant, making moves out here in the streets, not fully, knowing what they're doing, and they're making their mistakes along the way. And yeah, they're undeniable mistakes that they're both end up enduring the consequences from. And of course, they can't see or understand, like, why is this happening? Neither one of them can understand why their consequences, when they start to suffer from them, are happening. It's like, because you didn't make a smart move. But so just going past describing the parallel between those two, um, you know, that's like the key focal point from where the show is, picking back up now from the mid-season finale, because on episode, what was the 5 or 6, Tariq gets arrested for homicides, plural, right? And the reason why this happened is because Cain planted something that belonged to one of the deceased persons that now Tariq is being accused of killing. And that's presumed, rather, that Tariq is killed. So Tariq is being arrested under suspicion. Cain planted the badge of a police officer that he himself killed, okay? And he had to dig up the body. He had to retrieve the body in order to end up getting this this material, this badge. And so Cain strategically decided to place this badge in the dorm room of Tariq, as well as his roommate Braden. And again, Cain worked his way around Braden enough because he couldn't directly get back around Tariq frequently enough. So he works his way so that he's around Braden, so that he can gain ample access to their dorm room. And so the last time that Cain was in there with Braden, they had just finished actually digging up the body, the deceased police officer. And so they go back to Braden and Tariq's dorm room, and Braden's all sick, and Cain is just kind of waiting for him, and he's asking, where's Tariq at? And Braden's like, I don't know. In between him, vomiting, I don't know. So Cain takes that as an ample opportunity to, again, plant this badge in Tariq's dresser. And this is a way to definitely for Cain to get himself off any current police trail that is actively seeking out, investigating who killed the police officer, as well as another party, the Professor Reynolds. Okay. But Kane actually killed the police officer who was, a side piece to his mother, Monet. Kane killed that guy. Kane shot Professor Reynolds, and Tariq finished off and actually killing Professor Reynolds. So for real, when you look at it straight through, both Kane and Tariq, should be getting tried for both of those homicides. But again, it's at the point now where Kane has fixed it for all the focus to be on Tariq. And Kane doesn't know it. But as far as the police investigation goes, the police are they think that one single individual is responsible for the deaths of both the police officer as well as the Professor Reynolds. This is also giving insight into how police think and operate too, because they're viewing it like only one person, could have possibly killed both of these people who were in, two very different veins, as far as their lifestyles go. Again, police officer and a college professor, but the police have the mind frame that only one person possibly did this, kill both people. Well, in actuality, two people are responsible. So Tariq got arrested because police came in and searched the dorm room with him and Braden. But again, their focus had just been swayed to being on Tariq. First, they were trying to focus on Kane's cousin, Zeke. They eliminated him from, being a potential suspect, to focusing on the theory that it was Braden. And then they ended up hopping to, no, the stronger suspect is Tariq. So police went into their dorm room, and upon searching Tariq's dresser, ended up locating that badge, discovering that police badge that Kane had planted there. And so that is what results in Tariq getting arrested at the end of the episode, towards the end of the episode. And it was so messed up for his character because he had just come out of court from a custody hearing in attempts to get his little sister. Okay. And so when he gets back on campus and police are out there looking for him, and they see him and they scoop him up, handcuff him, take him away, obviously everything he just went through for the custody hearing for his sister now is down the drain. Because you're getting picked up for homicide now. So they take him in, and he's sitting there very briefly before he gets called to come out of his cell. So he comes out of his cell, and here comes once again the same, family attorney who he had to represent him in the custody hearing for his sister. So here he comes once more to talk to him and to give him something. And so nobody knows what it is. And so the family attorney tells him, he said, I don't know what it is, but it's something from your dad. And, I was instructed to give this to you in the event of you being arrested for homicide. So that's the exact circumstance, right? So Tariq takes this envelope back to his cell. He opens it, pulls out a piece of paper that's printed on Truth Nightclub letterhead. And when he reads it, because he already knows that this is something that his father has written, we know the distinction of the message. Although it's brief, we hear the voice of Tariq reading this letter And it's really just a note that says, I knew you'd end up here, little nigga. Exactly where you belong. So this is like a very an extremely strong representation of, you know, a proverbial return of the character Ghost, the return of James St. Patrick. Because Tariq was the one who killed him. He killed his dad, and now this is a means of his, an interpretation of his dad haunting him, right? But it is also highly indicative of Tariq's dad, Ghost, being able to foretell. Like, he already knew what Tariq was trying to do and wanting to do before he ended up killing him. And so this knowledge is what enabled Ghost to have been able to write such a note for future reference for his son, to know, like, I'm trying to steer you otherwise. You want to keep going against me. And so now you get to see that I see that you was fucking up and that you would fuck up. So, yeah. Now, you ask me, that's what I call dope ass writing, as far as scripting, for the show. That's dope ass writing. Like, that's pretty high up there. That's pretty poignant writing. So yeah, props to whoever wrote that. Props to them. Props to the writers of Book 2 Ghosts. Great stuff, right? And then highlight number 2 of this previous episode, because that's just one of 2. The next thing that occurs by surprise is the character Monet, played by the queen of hip hop and R&B, Mary J. Blige. So she has a past love interest, which we also just discovered in the previous episode. The episode, prior to the last episode, I think it was episode 4. We get to find out in that episode that this past love interest of hers is also the father to Zeke, which also shines an informative light to viewers, telling us that Zeke is not Monet's nephew. Zeke is actually one of Monet's biological children. Okay? And so this past love interest, who is coming up in her face, trying to get her back, trying to win her over, is Zeke's father. Okay? So they are their own family, in a whole nother vein. And so we find that out 2 episodes back. And so now on a most recent episode, and his name is Mecca. So anyhow, what ends up happening is Monet has a husband. Her husband, I can't remember his first name, but the family name, the last name is Tejada. I don't want to just be making up a name for him. I feel like his first name might be Hector, but I honestly can't recall for sure. But anyhow, Monet comes home, and this is after Mecca has once again, attempted to sway her. And at this point, he has just made his strongest persuasion to her as far as them being able to have a family, and offering Monet a strong sense of security as far as her lifestyle goes, and for her to really not any longer, or not for much longer, have a need to, be a temporary drug boss operating in the absence of her husband, who was locked up, right? So he lets her know. He's like, I have these papers. Mecca lets Monet know, I have these papers that you can sign in order for all of your kids to have trust funds. And that will be financial security, again, to pull Monet back from, again, pounding the pavement, so to speak, in the drug game. And he lets her know this. He makes this offer to her. He has the papers on him. He's like, all you gotta do is sign it. And so she was like, oh, I don't know. So they link up one more time briefly. And at this point, he's asking about, he's asking Monet, are you going to let Zeke know that, I'm his dad? Are you going to, give us a chance to like be a family and all this? So, obviously these are steps that Mecca is taking, gradual steps that Mecca is taking, because he wants him some Monet. Okay. And he the type of dude, he ain't not letting anything stand in his way. Right. I mean, that's what we can see at this point. So he's asking Monet, like, what about us? You're going to let Zeke know what the deal is. You're going to let him know the situation. You're going to let him know who I am, that I'm his dad, that you're his mom. Obviously, it's by default, she would have to, be revealing that about herself as well. And obviously that would trickle down to her other biological kids being informed of this news as well, right? So she tells him, first she's still resistant, but ultimately she tells Mecca, okay, yeah. All right. To me, this is her admission of like, she's totally giving in to everything that he's already brought up to her and proposed to her and offered her. She's subsequently like ultimately saying yes to all of it. Right. So she goes back home. Monet goes back home. It's nightfall, it's at the end of the day for everybody. So Monet gets back home and she hears this male voice, right, speaking in Spanish. So she's slowly walking up to her own door of her home. And so when she walks inside and turns the corner, her kids are in there, minus Zeke / her nephew / son. Fake nephew / son. Zeke is not present, but her other kids, Kane, Diana, and I forget the name of the other boy. They're all there. Everybody's sitting at the table. And who was this male Spanish speaking voice that she heard? It's her husband. He got out and he's in her house sitting at the table with their kids. So not only was that a surprise to the kids first, because they got to see him first, but this is also a major surprise to Monet. So when he sees Monet come around the corner, the husband gets up from the table. To me, it was bad. It was poor acting, because the way his facial expression was when he stands from the table, his eyes were wide open. It's like, I'm home. And it was such a weak scene for that actor. But, he gets up from the table. He walks over to Monet. He gives her this big old hug. She had no idea that he was anywhere near getting out of prison. And now he's sitting at the dining room table in her home. So he comes over, gives Monet a big hug. And so one of her kids asks her, like, Mom, why you ain't let us know what, like, this is why you been acting funny? Because the dad getting out? Is this why you been acting the way you been acting lately? And she's like, oh, yeah, she's playing it off. She's like, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I didn't want to ruin the surprise. Kind of like, yeah, you got me. That's why. This is why. And so everybody has like a little funny type of expression on their face. And her husband walks away. Diana has this funny look. But guess what? Diana knows this whole situation. Okay. So I'm sure we're going to get to see on the upcoming episode here in another 48 hours, we'll get to see how intricate of a plan that Diana, made and went through in order for locked up dad to be out now and free. Okay. Because now this is going to fuck up things for Monet and Mecca. And Monet just decided that she wants to go with Mecca. And now this. Soon as she turn around, this shit. Ruining the plan that she just agreed to. Real messed up. Real messed up. So that's where things are currently in the story of Power Book 2 Ghost. Tariq's locked up. Monet is caught up in a triangle of getting back with an old lover and revealing information to her kids about Mecca and about Zeke. And now the discovery that her convict husband is now out of prison and in her house and back among their family. So we got two very strong storylines here popping, and have everything on edge. So the drama is here. It's sitting. It has risen to the top. So yeah. Again, if you haven't already binge watched up to this current point, which I think the episode this Sunday, I think it's going to be episode 6. But again, we know it's halfway through the season, so I'm gonna go ahead and confidently guess that this is episode 6 coming here. Listen, and I think it goes without saying that it should be obvious. You got to see these things for yourself. You got to watch for yourself. But just in case you haven't, again, that's the point things are at now. So because these episodes that I just discussed have already aired, this is not spoilers. I don't do spoilers. I rarely, if ever, do spoilers. Okay? So just know, I just got you up to speed. I got you up to the current status of Ready to Love Season 5 DC. The season finale, which is episode 12, is airing tonight on network. And the next episode of Power Book 2 Ghost is airing this coming Sunday evening on the Stars Network. Okay. If you have the Stars Network, you can watch Power Book 2 Ghost starting anytime after 12:01 a.m. on Sunday morning. Okay. That's the power of, streaming networks. You can watch a little bit ahead of time, compared to the network schedule, TV's network schedule. But Stars is, one of those specialty networks. So just know, if you want to get into the show and you haven't already, it's on Stars Network, STARZ. So again, this episode is the first of 2022. This first episode of this week. I'm not sure if I want to keep calling this week, but that's how I titled it last year. And again, this is my 1-year anniversary of my channel. So it's back up and going again. Like I said, so last year ended up being kind of like a trial run for me. That wasn't not the plan, but that is what resulted. And so I'm back. Ended up coming back, starting off 2022 with my channel on the same date that I started last year in 2021. So yeah, January 7th, anniversary episode concluding. So yeah, if you weren't able to join me live, feel free you can still comment, still share your thoughts in the comment section here, still subscribe. And listen, everything that I've said is for entertainment purposes. I express my own personal opinions. None of this has been endorsed. I'm not paid to say anything that I say. And so, and going forward, anybody that I invite on, the case will likely be the same for those guests. Okay. The more the merrier, structured, clear, and poignant opinions are welcome. And again, I'm open to including, the commentary and the insights from other actual informed viewers of the programs that I watch and talk about, and also in regards to, popular culture, news, and entertainment. So yeah, those are the things that I talk about on here. This is your girl, Golden Dark Dame. Subscribe, Golden Dark Dame, GOLD, the letter N, DARK, space DAME. That's Golden Dark Dame. Follow me on Instagram as well. Same name on Instagram, on IG, Golden Dark Dame. So yeah, subscribe follow me on IG, so that way I usually post prior to actually just coming on and doing a live video. So you'll see notification on IG in advance most of the time, and that can be your heads up. And also, a means of sharing this channel, that this channel exists and that I'm here and that I talk about Power Universe. And so one more thing I want to say in regards to Power Universe is they have the date out for the next installment of Power Universe. And that installment is Force, and that is going to highlight the character Tommy, who was the right-hand man in the drug game to Ghost, to James St. Patrick. So Power Book 4 Force is going to be highlighting the character Tommy Egan, and it's going to be the story. It's going to be set in Chicago. It looks like when Tommy's character initially left from Power, like literally, as far as the writing goes, it left us with the impression that he was going to the West Coast. But as far as the previews for Book 4 Force, it appears that he has decided to either settle and or majority operate in the city of Chicago. So that we can tell by looking at the preview for Book 4 Force. And so that is actually going to be premiering in another month. It's just a month away before we'll be able to watch and see the character Tommy once again. Crazy Tommy. Everybody knows how crazy the character Tommy is. Crazy white boy. So he's coming. Like I said, the series highlighting his character is coming. And following that, the next installment is going to be highlighting the character of Governor Tate. And I believe that installment is going to be titled Influence. That was the original plan anyway. So we'll see if they retain that same title for Book 5. But for Book 4 is Power Force, highlighting Tommy Egan. And it's coming on in just a month. So that's cool and exciting. So I will definitely be tuning into that. Obviously I hope to check it out, as soon as it comes on and not miss a beat watching that. So yes, Power Universe still going strong. Oh, and let me also note too, because I didn't speak on it at any point last year that I can remember in 2021, but the second installment of Power, Book 2, was oh God. Y'all can't even the name of it. Oh God, I don't want to say the wrong title. That installment was highlighting the character Kanan, which was played by 50 Cent, right? I can't even remember the name of that installment though. And what I will say about it is I know for certain, I can let you know that I did not review that at all. I didn't share any commentary about that series, about that installment at all. I'll spare explaining why. But just to state that I did watch it in its entirety. I watched Power Book 2 in its entirety. And I watched it out of a sense of necessity, just so that I could remain up to speed and, have full awareness, anything to do with any character that was on Power, right? Because it doesn't make sense for, somebody who proclaims himself to be, a top fan, number one fan, to not be able to refer to, full insight about any part of the series, right? I gotta know everything about Power Universe. Otherwise, I would be a fraud, right? So, with that being the case, I did watch all of Power Book 2, but I never reviewed it. So just so everyone knows that I did tune into it. I just never gave commentary on it. It didn't strike me that strongly for me to, talk about the episodes for installment 2. But obviously it's an integral part of the story. And again, book 2 highlighted the character Kanan, and it really just documented, how he grew up, how he came up and was brought up into the drug game. But yeah, that was book 2. And that was one that I did not create commentary about, but I watched it. I am aware of it, that it was on, that it existed. So if you watched it as well, big ups, props to you, props to us. But yeah, I never had really anything to say about book 2. What is the name of it though? I'm trying to at least tell y'all the name of it just for, appropriate documentation purposes. But yeah, so yeah, that's all in all, that's it for this episode. Again, make sure you comment. Yes, that's it. Thank you so much in the comments for reminding me. Yes, Power Book 2, Raising Kanan. Yes. I never had any commentary on Raising Kanan, but again, I watched it. So if you watched it also, and if you're currently watching Power Book 2 Ghost, then you are completely up to speed with Power. And props to you. So yeah, let's keep it up. Keep tuning in, up to speed, and likely my next episode will be next week, probably toward the end of the week, because I do intend on coming back with a review of the season finale of Ready to Love that's coming on tonight, as well as this next episode of Book 2 Ghost that's coming on Sunday, returning from their mid-season finale. So yeah, it's juicy right now with Book 2 Ghost, and yeah, it's exciting. I can't wait to see what's about to happen next. So yeah, keep watching with me, and like I said, feel free to subscribe, add your comments, share your comments and your thoughts. I want to know what you think about everything between what's going on with the reality TV, Ready to Love, as well as with the characters on Book 2 Ghost. So yes, in the meantime, keep doing what you do. Stay consistent, stay informed, and share your thoughts. Subscribe to this channel. This is your girl Golden Dark Dang. See you next time.